Hey, welcome. Sometimes the simplest stories have the most powerful messages, right? Today, we're going to dive into one of those, a really simple parable about a carpenter. But don't let that fool you. Hiding inside this little story is a huge message about, well, about everything. How we work, how we live, and how we build our lives one day at a time. Let's get into it.
So let me just start with a question, a big one, that really gets to the heart of all this. If you knew for a fact that you'd have to live inside the very thing you're building right now, whether that's a project at work, a relationship, or even just your own character, would you do anything differently? Just let that sit with you for a minute as we go through this.
All right, let's set the scene and meet our main character. Our story kicks off with an aging carpenter. This is a guy who spent his entire life mastering his craft, and now he's standing at a huge crossroads.
So here's the deal with him. His mind is totally made up. After a long career, he is ready to retire. He just wants to hang up his tool belt, kick back and enjoy a slower life with his family. He's already given his notice, and yeah, he's going to miss the paycheck for sure, but the decision's been made. He's done building houses.
But you know how it is. His employer, who was genuinely bummed to be losing such a great worker, comes to him and asks for one last favor, a personal favor. He says, hey, could you build just one more house for me? And feeling a bit of that old loyalty, the carpenter says yes. Reluctantly, but he agrees.
And this right here is where the whole story pivots. Because saying yes to the job, that's one thing. But actually putting your heart and soul into it like he used to, well, that's a whole different ballgame. You can just imagine it, right? His heart just wasn't in it anymore. He was physically on the job site, but mentally, he was already retired, dreaming about those lazy days ahead. This last house didn't feel like his grand finale. It just felt like one last thing he had to get through. A chore.
And this is what's so tragic when you look at it. This guy wasn't just some average worker. His entire reputation was built on excellence, on taking pride in his craft. But what he was actually doing on this last job, it was a complete 180. His famous craftsmanship got sloppy. He started cutting corners, using cheaper materials. A whole career built on pride was ending with apathy. He just didn't care.
So eventually, the house gets done. It's fine. It's standing, but it's nothing like his old work. It's a shadow of what he was capable of. And just then, his employer shows up. And this is where we get to the big, totally unexpected climax of the story.
So the carpenter's there, he's got the keys in his hand, and he is ready to hand them over and just walk away for good. But his employer isn't holding a clipboard. He's not there to inspect anything. Nope. He's there for a reason that is going to completely blindside the carpenter.
He just looks the carpenter right in the eye, pushes the keys back into his hand, and says the last thing he ever expected to hear. This house is for you. It's my gift.
And boom, the carpenter is just stunned, absolutely floored. And that shock, it turns instantly into this deep, awful feeling of shame. You can almost hear his thoughts screaming, oh no, how shameful. If I'd only known. If I'd just known I was building this for me, everything would have been different.
And this is where the story turns from being about him to being about, well, us. See, that story isn't really about some other guy. You're the carpenter, I'm the carpenter, we all are. Because that house he built, that's a metaphor for your life. That's the whole point. This story is like a mirror, and it's showing us how, every single day, we are building the very life that we ourselves will have to live in.
Think about it like this. Every single day, you're hammering a nail with some action you take. You're placing a board with something you say. You're putting up a wall with a choice you make. And a lot of the time, we do this stuff almost on autopilot, not even realizing we're literally building the house our future self is going to have to call home.
And isn't that the real kicker? We so often build carelessly. We give less than our best, only to be shocked, genuinely shocked, when we wake up and find ourselves living in a shabby house built out of our own indifference. And by then, you can't go back and fix the foundation. There are no do-overs.
Okay, but here's the really important part. For the carpenter, it was the end of his career. It was too late. But for most of us, there is so much house left to build. The story is a warning, for sure, but man, it's also an incredible opportunity.
It really all boils down to this one single idea. Your attitude today, the care, the work, the passion you put in right now, that is what builds the house you live in tomorrow. It's not magic, it's cause and effect. Every nail matters, every single board counts.
So, let's circle all the way back to that first question, but now it's got the whole weight of this story behind it. Take a hard look at your day, your work, your choices. What kind of house are you building for yourself right at this very moment?